All right, everyone, buckle up, because this deep dive is taking us deep, deep into the Star Citizen universe
His guy is right.
to explore something huge that's on the horizon.
And trust me, you are not going to want to miss this
The
one.
Genesis tech upgrade, from what I saw at CitizenCon.
Oh, man, CitizenCon.
I mean, my mind is still recovering.
It was something else, wasn't it?
It really was.
Yeah.
And this Genesis thing, it's not just some, graphical facelift. This is about to change everything.
You're telling me we're not just talking about prettier planets here. We're talking a complete overhaul of how planets are built, how they look, how they feel even. Imagine a universe where every planet is like its own living, breathing world, you know?
Okay, yeah, the phrase infinitely diverse biomes is permanently imprinted on my brain.
Right.
But before we get totally lost in the hype, let's back up a bit. What's wrong with the way planets are made in LW?
Right now, well, like if a developer wants to put something cool in a specific spot, like say a crashed satellite or a hidden cave,
I like crash.
who doesn't? The point is, right now, somebody has to go in and basically hand place it. Every single detail. It's crazy.
So you're saying it's like building a giant Lego model, except it's a planet.
Exactly. It's nuts. Now imagine trying to do that for a whole solar system, a whole Gilag XY even. Not sustainable.
That's where Genesis comes in.
That's where Genesis comes in. Instead of this whole handcrafted thing, Genesis uses procedural generation. But get this, it's powered by the laws of nature.
Wait, hold on. You're saying they're using actual physics and stuff in a video game?
That's what I'm saying. It's all about data.
Yeah.
Algorithms. You've got all these layers of data. Temperature, humidity, what kind of rocks are there, the soil, even how many nutrients are in the soil. Crazy, right?
So they're simulating the entire planet from the ground up.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And because it's all based on these natural laws, every little detail, every rock, every tree, every weird alien mushroom, it's all there for a reason.
It's like a real ecosystem.
Exactly. It just feels more real, you know?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around all this. Can you give me an example? Like, what would a walk in the woods look like with Genesis?
Okay, so you're walking through a redwood forest, right?
Huh.
With Genesis, you won't just see a bunch of randomly placed trees. You'll see trees of all different ages and sizes. Some will be these towering giants, hundreds of feet tall.
Wow.
And others will be younger, just starting out, all competing for sunlight.
Because the tech is simulating how they would have actually grown over time.
Bingo. You might see a cluster of ferns huddled under a fallen log, because that's where the moisture levels are just right, according to the simulation. Even the rocks scattered around wouldn't be random. They'd be grouped in ways that make sense based on erosion patterns and how the land's laid out.
Man, I never would have thought about it that way. But okay, so you've got all this incredible detail, but how does it actually impact gameplay? Is it just a visual upgrade or what?
Oh, it goes way beyond just visuals. Think about it. When the environment is dynamic, unpredictable, the journey itself becomes the destination. Instead of just following quest markers, you're exploring, discovering hidden waterfalls.
Ooh, waterfalls.
Stumbling across crashed ships, you name it.
So Genesis is basically just handing us the keys to the galaxy and saying, go explore, find something cool.
That's the beauty of it. It opens up a whole world of emergent gameplay possibilities. The kind of experiences you just can't script. It really is all about emergent gameplay. And, you know, the devs have actually broken Genesis down into phases.
Oh, right. The phases. We got to talk about the phases.
Exactly. So we can really understand just how much this thing can do.
Okay, so remind me, what all is included in phase one?
Phase one is all about those natural laws we were talking about, laying the groundwork. Like they're basically giving the Star Citizen universe a crash course in, I don't know, physics, environmental science.
So it's about making the galaxy, really feel real, not just look like a pretty screensaver.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just looking real, right?
Yeah.
It's about like the possibilities it opens up. You know how they're always talking about adding all these different kinds of planets?
Oh, yeah.
Well, with Genesis, they can create some seriously wild environments.
You mean like dense, crazy jungles? With layers and layers of plants and stuff?
Exactly. Or how about like a swamp, but like a really alien swamp?
Okay, now you're just messing with me.
I'm serious. Think bioluminescent plants, crazy fog effects, the works. And it's not just about plants either. Imagine like vast deserts with these towering sand dunes shaped by the wind, or these treacherous icy mountains with glaciers slowly crawling through the landscape. We're talking about a whole new level of realism.
This is blowing my mind. And we're still on phase 1. What happens in phase 2?
Phase 2 is where things get really spicy. This is where they start populating those incredible environments with all sorts of life. Remember those redwood forests?
How could I forget those redwood forests? You had me at towering giants.
Right. Well, now imagine those forests, but filled with creatures that have adapted to that specific environment. Like maybe there's a herd of these giant herbivores just munching on the forest floor.
I love giant herbivores.
Or maybe you stumble across a pack of predators, stealthy, camouflaged, stalking their prey through the undergrowth.
Okay, now that's cool.
And the best part is, those predators will be there for a reason, right? It's not just random encounters anymore. The Genesis tech is simulating the entire ecosystem. So if those predators are there, it's because the prey animals they rely on are there too.
So like every planet will have its own story to tell.
Exactly. And you, as the player, get to uncover those stories. You get to write your own chapters within this living, breathing universe. How cool is that?
That is incredibly cool. But okay, serious question time. With all this incredible detail, will our computers even be able to run it?
Ah, the age-old question. Don't worry, the devs have thought about that too.
Because, like, I can just picture my poor CPU bursting into flames trying to render a single blade of grass.
I feel you.
What?
But alongside Genesis, they've also been hard at work on some serious performance optimization.
Okay, because that was my next question. How do they pull that off?
They've completely redone the terrain and object rendering systems. Everything's been optimized to run way more efficiently on your CPU and GPU. You know, the processor and graphics card.
For those of us who don't speak fluent tech jargon, yeah.
Basically, they've found a way to cram in all this incredible detail without turning your computer into a molten slag heap. It's honestly pretty impressive.
So we get all the amazing detail and realism, but it actually RUNs well. That's like some black magic right there.
Pretty much. One of the big things they're doing is something called procedural density. So instead of rendering every single tree and rock in the distance, Genesis intelligently groups them together.
That's smart.
And then as you get closer, it seamlessly switches to individual objects. It's like magic, but really it's just brilliant programming.
So it's like your computer's decluttering itself on the fly, only it's happening in a galaxy far, far away.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about what they're doing with Genesis. It's not just about pushing the visuals, it's about intelligent design, making the most of what your hardware can do.
Which is music to my ears, because my computer's already sweating just thinking about all this.
I hear you. But hey, we're not done yet. There's more.
Wait, there's more. What else could there possibly be?
Well, remember those phases we were talking about?
Yeah.
Phase 3, that's where things get really interesting. Phase 3 is where they're really going to blow the roof off this thing.
Okay, you've been teasing phase 3 this whole time, no more holding back. What is it?
It's called, get this, cinematic flora.
Cinematic flora.
Yeah, right.
It sounds intense.
It's about making the environment, specifically plants, react to everything that's happening around them.
Wait, so, like, the plants actually move-y?
Imagine you're pushing through that jungle, right? And you brush past a fern, and the fronds actually bend and sway around you.
Whoa.
Or you're in the middle of a firefight, and an explosion sends branches crashing down.
That would be so cool.
It's about making the vegetation feel alive, responsive, like it's part of the action.
Okay, but how do they even make that work? Technically, I mean...
Your GPU, that graphics card we talked about, they're basically simulating the physics of each plant, so they respond to wind, explosions, even players and creatures bumping into them.
That's insane. So every tree, every bush, every little blade of grass is going to have its own little physics simulation going on.
It's wild, right? And it makes the whole world feel so much more real, believable.
I can only imagine. And think about the gameplay possibilities. Like, what if you could track an enemy through the forest by the trail of disturbed foliage they leave behind?
Exactly. Or you could use an explosion to create a diversion, sending branches and leaves flying everywhere.
So sneaky. Man, they've thought of everything.
It's incredible what they're doing with this technology, really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
No kidding. It's amazing how far video game technology has come.
Right, from those blocky trees we used to have to this.
And it all starts with math, which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It all boils down to algorithms and data. But man, those algorithms can create some beautiful things.
That's for sure. Well, I think my brain is officially fried.
Mine too. In a good way, though.
definitely a good way. This Genesis thing, it's going to be huge. Thanks for breaking it all down for me.
Anytime. Always happy to geek out about Star Citizen.
Well, I don't know about you all, but I am stoked for the future of Star Citizen. Until next time, everyone, keep your eyes on the skies.